Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Heretic Hammer podcast. I am your host, Marshall, and this is my co-host, Dylan.
Hello, hello.
And today we're going to go over a technical couple of things here. But the biggest thing is going to be learning the game of 40K in as basic a way as possible.
As possible.
This can get complicated.
As feasible.
Yes. So the ways that I'm going to simplify it just off the top for anybody who maybe is watching this and has played the game before. The thing about the game obviously is first we're going to be playing we're not really going to be playing. I'm going to be demonstrating a 500-point game. I will absolutely not use every single stratagem available. Sure. I will go over the ones that exist, but I will often just not use them. And the biggest reason is obviously the easiest thing to forget constantly is your stratagems when you are new and you're learning. But then somewhat in turn, it's kind of the thing that bloats it so much when you're just trying to figure out how to read these stinking data sheets that the main thing we need to focus on is going to be how does the game flow actually work here, right? Because we're going to have to figure out the movement, terrain, going into those shooting and fighting phases, and then objectives, right? So there's going to be a whole lot of information already. I'm not going to put every single potential thing, and we're not going to do every single turn and whatnot. And all the other thing is also, this is not technically a perfect setup for a 500-point game, but it was the easiest way to set it up in this TTS map. Also, we're going to be playing through Leviathan rule set. Again, that really only matters to people who know, but that's again mostly just because this workshop thing for 10th edition 40K hasn't been updated to have Pariah Nexus in it, which is the current essentially mission pack or rule set. But yes, so to start us off, we're gonna be doing a game between the Leagues of Votann and the Tau Empire. The Tau especially to obviously help kind of introduce you, Dylan, to the Tau themselves. Mm-hmm. These lists are primarily based on their combat patrols. So it's just kind of under the pretense of if you bought a combat patrol and then bought something else to make it into a 500-point army. So the example for Tau would be the combat patrol would get you the Tau commander, your Pathfinder and Breacher teams, and the Devilfish. Okay. And then we are adding a group of Crisis Battlesuits because, they're fun. And then for Leagues of Votann, for example, then you are getting mostly the combat patrol, honestly. The only thing you're getting your call, or it could be Uther, the Destined. I'm making it just a normal call, again, for simplicity's sake. And then you get 5 Chthonian Berserkers and 3 Hernkin Pioneers. So the only thing we added was one more group of Hearthkin Warriors. So just your standard troop. We will have, so I will have the different loadouts for certain units. I will I will just bring them up when they come up. So the first thing we would start off with, and this I'll have you participate with me, Dylan, if you'll move over to the left of the board here. You'll see the dice table over here. So we're each gonna do a roll here. So you'll roll if I have you roll, which often will be the thing that you'll do, as we get through this. You'll obviously roll for Tau. So the first thing we're gonna do is gonna roll for attacker and defender. So, and this will be just the winner will choose. So this will be, so I'm going to spawn a die here and we'll roll it. So I get a 4. You can just hit roll again to, you may have to select it. Sorry. You may have to select the die. All right. And then just hit roll after you select it. If anything, just do like the click and drag select tool. All right. Yeah, I was gonna say, because this can get finicky. Yeah. If anything, okay, we tied. So, yeah, if anything, this gets finicky. Just do the click and drag to select, like with the box, and then hit roll. Here, we'll roll again though. All right, I'm at a 5 now.
Come on, get a 5. Get a 5. 6.
All right. So, in this scenario, and I'll let you pick this because this is, in this scenario, will be fairly inconsequential. You will be attacker or defender. If you are attacker, or if you're defender, you get the benefit of deploying first. This is really more, in terms of strategy, this is kind of a double-edged sword. You know, you, by choosing to deploy first, you can potentially, you know, you can kind of get your units into spots, maybe beta, you know, if there's certain ones you want maybe them to try to focus on, they think it's important. Otherwise, obviously deploying second has its advantage because you can react to what your opponent does. Mm-hmm. And then for the most part, that's kind of the biggest thing. One of the things though that we will also note now is, you know, I already kind of went over what the units are, but like, for example, one of the things that you would do is you would not only that, but you would state what are the group, like what are leaders, if you have any leaders in your army, what units are they attached to? So for example, with the Tau, we're going to be attaching the commander in crisis suit with the crisis suits. So he'll be leading them. And then over on the Votann side, the call will be leading this group of Hearthkin warriors.
Okay.
And then you will also state if any of your if you have any units going into any vehicles that will be being transported. And in this case, it will be the Pathfinder squad is going to go into the Devilfish. So when we place them, these will stay kind of just like on the side over here. Mm-hmm. And then the Devilfish is what will get put out. And that will be holding them. If you're playing this in real life, one of the things you can always do is put a unit on top of said thing. Otherwise, in TTS here, you could always just make a note like Pathfinder. Oops. And then you can just hover over it at least and see like, okay, these have the Pathfinders in it. As you hold it over for a second, you'll see. All right, these have Pathfinders. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's the nice part for that. For playing in general. That's just a general niceties note. Yeah. You would also now state if you have any units staying in reserves, either to go into deep strike or just to be put on the board later as reinforcements. In this demo, we are not going to do that. We will likely do that though in the full game demo tutorial game that we do, where it's 1,000 points and Dylan's going to actually like have to think for himself.
Yeah.
But for this game, we're not going to do that. Also mostly because not really any of these units can do that, but in 500 point games, it can be very valuable to have a unit that can do it because as you can see, the board is a very narrow path. Just so you kind of know, essentially the size up that we would be looking at for a 2,000 point game. Let's see if I can kind of get this going. Not really. So it would be within this kind of sequence of squares here. So kind of where you kind of see the terrain jutting out to, it would go into this square. The full board would be if we were going up to like 3,000 points.
Okay.
So But the general way of going would be like this next one here. But other than that, so yes, would you want to do attacker or defender?
I want to be defender, actually.
Okay. Right. So first up, we're going to have the Votann place their first units. So we've got two kinds of Hearthkid units here. We've got ones with a little bit longer range guns and a little bit shorter. So ones that are going to kind of do a little bit more maybe individual damage, because usually when a weapon has a shorter range, you'll do that. So these will have kind of a number of like shorter ranged weaponry. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm skipping a note here. This card here, this will tell you where you can deploy units. So we're not going to be sitting super heavy into the measurements that you'll see on this card because, well, we're playing with about half the size the board this card wants us to play with.
Mm-hmm.
So we're generally then somewhat operating with half of the measurements in a way. So for deployment, usually you were looking at about 16 inches from the edge of the board, like and forward. And in that we will be somewhat, but I'll probably just for 500 points, I think we can kind of shrink it down to 12. Just because again, we're kind of working it out here. So we'll do the same thing, and it's roughly about, so if anything, I'll probably kind of just like keep, well, let's make sure I'm measuring from the right spot here. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so if anything, I'll probably keep it to about where this like a carrier thing. I'll probably treat that as my line.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take my shorter range Hearthkin Warriors here, and I'm going to put them kind of right up at the front here. Now I'll partly take over at this part here. So we're going to take our Crisis Battlesuit team here, which is currently living with one of the which is going to be living in the small struggle that Tau get to live in, which is the drones really increase your footprint.
Yeah, for sure.
But the benefit is because they're not technically units. If you need to just like shunt one away for a bit, you can do so. Okay, I'm gonna move this guy back because he doesn't need to be technically. So again, I'm gonna kind of do what I just said. So I'm gonna shunt this over here, bring that there, and that way I can bring everything forward, right up to the line there. And then you would just kind of take turns. So for example, you know, maybe I'll take my Chthonian Berserkers and I'm gonna bring them. I've unfortunately created collisions. Yeah, like the worst thing you can do playing 40K on TTS is do the thing where you like shake the hand and like bring them all together. All right, next I'm gonna take my Devilfish. Oh, okay. Gamer really stutters sometimes. And I'm going to put it right up here. Now, an important note about the game in general is everything about the game is generally centered around the base of the model. So if you want to actually look up a little bit with the Votann unit, you can actually kind of see I put this Chthonian Berserker a little bit forward. So we want to bring it back. But our kind of line here being this container, we'll just kind of put the base right up to it.
Mm-hmm.
But say now with the say if you had something that was, say, like if you had a Riptide, you know, it has a big gun hanging out the front, kind of like this Devilfish does, right? You technically in that scenario could allow the gun to overhang a little bit because it's just the gun.
But the actual hull of the ship needs to stay behind that 12-inch.
Yeah. So in the case of the Devilfish, it doesn't have a base technically. So the whole model has to be behind the line here. And, obviously, you can somewhat get, if your friends are cool, you can kind of get away with a little bit of leeway. But for the most part, keep it in mind.
Yeah.
All right. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of get these guys kind of tied up here. I'm going to put them over here. And then finally, our breacher team, we're going to kind of keep a little bit back here. And then similarly, our longer range, I messed up earlier. I was supposed to put the call with because of things later for demonstration later. I was supposed to put them with that one. It's my bad. So for now, I will bring them here. And then that'll be deployment. Hooray.
Okay.
All right. And then now there's going to be the two functions of learning how this game is going to go down, which I've already pre-selected to get into the game. So first, you're going to draw a primary mission. You'll get a primary mission deck and then a mission rule. These are just going to be somewhat random that you'll just draw. I chose these. Well, I chose the primary mission. I randomly drew this mission, but honestly, it works. It works really well. So this is almost the most basic way to play the game, which is take and hold. So at the end of each command phase, which we'll get to in a minute, the player whose turn it is scores 5 victory points for each objective marker they control, up to 15 victory points per turn.
Oh, it's a conquest type thing.
Yes. So and then at the end of the games or in the 5th battle round, there will be a little bit extra in some scenarios, especially other missions might have more going on. And then the mission rule is supply lines. In this mission, if a player controls the objective marker in their own deployment zone at the start of their command phase, they can roll a d6, and on a 4-up, that player gets a command point, which will be important. Those will be the ways that we're going to do those stratagems I talked about earlier.
Okay.
And they are very useful, especially the grenades. Always remember your grenades. Always. Of which, these are going to all be based on their index too, because again, that's kind of how just like the function of this board is. But again, that will do just fine for what we're doing here. So I'm going to spread these out for you. Then I'll grab the Votann one as well and bring it over here. And these are going to be specifically the Tau specific stratagems. So you've got stim injectors, coordinate to engage, strike and fade, point blank ambush, photon grenades, combat embarkation, and then there are the core ones that everyone gets access to, which I'll put in the middle between them. Shoot. And in there you'll find some of the most common ones you'll want to grab are going to be your command reroll, where in any phase, if you have made a hit roll, wound roll, a damage roll, a saving throw, an advance roll, a charge roll, a desperate escape test, a hazard test, pretty much anything you do with the D6, you can re-roll that one die.
Okay.
It says that roll, but as I say, usually I just see it as the one die. And somebody wants to correct me on that later, then sure. Then my LGS maybe is gaslighting me. But yes, otherwise, then there is grenade. For 1 CP, 1 grenades unit from your army that is not within engagement range, and you get essentially to throw this grenade within 8 inches of a visible unit, roll a d6 on a 4-up. That enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound, essentially just doing 1 straight up damage to anyone.
Okay.
But all right, now we can determine who goes first. So back to rolling. Back to the roll here. I'm gonna spawn and roll. Ooh, unless you roll a 1, I think the Tau might be going first. All right.
3.
So this is purely somewhat out of your hands. If you roll higher, you just go first when determining who goes first.
Okay.
So in this scenario, the Tau, because you rolled the 3, that means the Tau will be going first. Which is dependent with Tau, but in some scenarios can be very useful because you can maybe try to do some boxing out of units. So one of the things that we're going to get through really quickly here, like immediately, is going to be, let me see. Let's get to the core rules here. So up in the top right here, we've got our core rules book. And in it, it's always funny because like trying to scroll through it, you gotta like load really really slowly, and then when you scroll a bit later, it's like at least put into cache and stuff. But yeah, so then we can get into it. We're gonna want to note something about our transports, and that's going to be the disembark rule. And that is, if a unit from your army starts your movement phase embarked in the transport model, that unit can disembark that phase. When a unit disembarks from a transport model, set it up on the battlefield so that it is wholly within 3 inches of that transport model and not within engagement range of an enemy model. If, for any reason, a disembarking model cannot be set up, that unit's model cannot disembark, or that model's unit cannot disembark. Units that disembark from a transport model that either remain stationary this phase or has not yet made a normal advance or fallback move can act normally, make a normal move, advance, shoot, charge, fight, etc. In the remainder of the turn, such a disembarking unit cannot choose to remain stationary. However, units that disembark from a model that made a normal move this phase count as having made a normal move themselves and cannot move further during this phase. Such a unit also cannot declare a charge in the same turn, but otherwise act normally for the remainder of the turn. This is going to come up right now. The reason I read this is because we're going to do one thing, which is usually something you kind of try to treat, which is what is the type of cover we are dealing with. And we're going to kind of be a little subtle with these. So these ones, all the buildings, anything that looks like the building, so like these kind of white and blue ones here, these ones, and then these kind of ones with the scaffolding here, these are going to all be treated and called as ruins. And ruins means essentially that you are able to, that you essentially, when you move up and you're touching the wall, you're able to shoot through it as cover, and you get the benefit of cover. But when you are not, it's kind of essentially just like a big wall. It's like a little funky. But if anybody then is able to see you from, say, like a different angle, so say, for example, this ship is right here, and then this unit tries to shoot this, it's not touching the wall, so they can't shoot it. But if these guys move up and are like, hey, I can see you over there through this here. I can see that devilfish behind here. Mm-hmm. There is no benefit to cover from this unit. So that is kind of the trade-off you're usually making. So often what you usually do is if you start an enemy model unit and you wanted to put them, say, here, you would start them away from the wall and then afterward bring it up. However, if you're treating all forms of terrain as blocking, then just go right up to it, because then you'll always get the cover and you can't shoot through it anyway. But in this somewhat for ease of use scenario, we will do that. We're going to keep these as if we can shoot through all of them except for the containers. Containers will be the only blocking terrain. But we'll get to something about that in a moment. So first, we're going to start with the devilfish. We need to kind of, upon moving over, we're going to look at the devilfish's. Data sheet here, and it gets a movement of 12 inches, denoted in the top left of the data sheet, where you'll see the M, and that gets 12 inches of movement. So we'll take our ruler. We're going to kind of go from the front, the very front of the model, or its base, whichever which, and we're going to look at where we can go in 12 inches. And it looks like we can go right about in front, right in the center of this objective, if we wanted to. But we're going to do something a little bit conniving instead. We're going to get it so that the model is right about on the objective. But now we're going to take that Pathfinder unit and we're going to disembark it because we can do so. Mm-hmm. And we're going to put it right up against the wall of this cover. So they're going to come out and they're going to be, and as long as they're within 3 inches of the unit, which you get some leeway because of, like, obviously the size of the bases are only so much.
Yeah.
But they're technically disembarking within 3 inches of the unit here, and we'll want to keep them somewhat close up here.
So are you having them touch the wall here, or just be close to it?
Yeah, and with Tabletop Simulator, it could be funky. So in TTS, just clarify and be honest. In the physical game, it's a lot easier. You don't have to worry about like polygonal collision. Mm-hmm. But then that means now they're going to be hiding it, but they are out, but hiding behind this ruin, which, as we now determined, we can shoot through. But as is indicated by these three in the middle, I didn't make these ones this because they just kept breaking and would like hide underneath the mat. So you couldn't see the objective at full size. Uh-huh. But this is the actual total space of the objective.
Okay.
So you can be from the center out here, you are within the objective range. So right now, this devilfish is scoring on this objective. Right there, they're holding this objective. And then now, so the one thing is we've got our warlord, which is our crisis commander, but then we also have our crisis suits, which he is leading. Now, in some scenarios, it's not in this case, but in some scenarios, you'll see like your commander will have higher movement than the group it's leading. And if that's the case, you always have to essentially default to the slowest movement of the two. Essentially, neither unit can like get ahead of either. So they always have to move together, therefore they move with the smallest. Which is going to lead crisis battle suits. So, okay. So, in this case, on the beneficially, they will all get to move the 10 inches, which will put them, again, similarly, right about in the middle of the objective, which for them, we're going to do. But we're going to kind of do the same thing again. So again, we're going to kind of shoosh these drones a little bit a ways here because they're going to get in the way again. Mm-hmm. Slide over, you two. Slide to the left. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to move them. Ah, damn it. We're going to take this blob and put it over here.
Correct.
So
optimal gameplay.
Yeah, sometimes what'll happen is obviously like what you can do is you can put a model here. You can left or right click and you can keep it down. Mm-hmm. So you can get it under these like terrain pieces.
Yeah.
Don't do that when you have a group because then that brings them all together. All right. Here's the commander. There we go. We're going to say they're on the wall because otherwise this was just immediately a nightmare. All right. And then for now, we're going to keep this breacher team. Oops. Oh, hopefully that doesn't break everything. Okay, good. Sometimes when you hit undo, which I did instinctively, it breaks way too many things. I need to lock this objective down. Let me make sure I did that here as well. Okay, good. Yes, we're going to take this breacher team, and then we're going to bring them right up to the wall as best we can. Once again, get out of here. Drop. I'll bring these two up farther. There we go. So an important note to make is as you move your models, you'll notice I kind of move them all in their big chunks and groups. What we'll see soon enough is that you can kind of conga line, so you can kind of bring your units out in a way like by doing this. Because the only rule about spacing out your units, other than that model has to be able to move the number of inches in movement it has. So for example, next turn, these Pathfinder units have a movement of 7 inches. So it can go from, say, here, and this is all within 7 inches so far, right? Mm-hmm. This is next turn, right? But we can kind of conga line our way. So right now, then they're taking this objective, but they're also not these guys don't get the cover because they're no longer touching the wall. But you, in a way, could take both of these objectives by conga lining your way. But the thing is, you can't, for example, do this because you have to be within a coherency, which is 2 inches. And most of the time, you generally want to keep a pretty tight coherency. Because when you get into the fighting phase later, that becomes very important and beneficial. But now that was our movement phase, which I totally skipped over our command phase because it's kind of tough to note with turn 1. But we'll use these little turners here. So this brown kind of icon here or thing here, because it was turn 1, both of these got the benefit of, we're getting the benefit of getting a command point. At the start of every turn, both sides get a command point. Now the thing with Tau is you must determine we must determine who is going to be the markers and who are going to be essentially our shooters. Let's see. So for example, now let's see. So because now we're in the shooting phase, so we're gonna see a unit is going to have to mark for another, but they have to obviously see them, and we only have a couple going on here. So really the only ones that are going to be able to mark and shoot for another, because obviously they're going to end up having to shoot, but they are not going to be able to mark because they can't see anyone right now. But these two can. So in this relationship, what we'll do, it's either we will choose the Devilfish to be the marker on these guys, or we will choose the Pathfinder team to be the marker on these guys. That question inevitably works or we can pick which ones we want to do. This obviously based on somewhat of a realm of strategy, and which we think will do better when fighting the enemy team. So a lot of times your best bets are to pick or to have the vehicle, do the shooting, right? Because a lot of times vehicles have pretty strong guns, especially if they're like a tank, right? But with the Tau especially, and with a transport, that might not always be the case. So this is our Pathfinder team. So looking at kind of the data sheet, we're looking at, and they have specifically 7 pulse carbines, which have 2 attacks each, will hit on 4s, have a strength of 5, no armor penetration, and will do 1 damage each. But again, that will work that each model gets 2. And this is and there's 7 of those. So that'll be 14 shots of those pulse carbines. Right? And then one of them also then has a twin pulse carbine, which gets 2 shots, has a ballistic skill of 5 up, but that will go down by 1 with the marking. Say if this does the marking. Mm-hmm. And then, but as a strength of 5 and AP, but it's called twin linked. So if a wound roll fails, you get to re-roll it. And then otherwise, they also have a rail rifle, which has a strength of 10 and AP minus 4 and does devastating wounds, which means crits will auto wound. And the only things to save it would be a feel no pain, which is a specific damage based thing. So because of that, specifically, we are going to have the Devilfish mark this for them. They're going to be the spotter for the Pathfinder team.
Okay.
So now we get to go into our shoosting phase. Hooray! All right, so we'll start with that group. So we know for a fact the Devilfish not going to shoot this phase, so we don't even have to worry about what its guns are right now. So we can start with our Pathfinders as we discuss them. So we'll move over. So the way that this kind of works here for us here, I'll do this once to show you just kind of how we'll roll through this. So we're gonna I'm gonna do it just for the shooting part, and then I'll have you finish it off, do the rest of it. So we're going to get 2 attacks and we have 7 guns. So that means we're going to want to add 14 dice. So we'll spawn and roll. That's what this plus sign here in the middle. We'll spawn and roll them immediately. All right. And this will hit with a ballistic skill of 4 up. So the way you'll do that is you have to be, this can get finicky sometimes. So we got to be somewhat careful. But where are these 2 up, 2 plus 3 up, and all that. Mm-hmm. You need to make sure you double click it, not single click and then double click, because it'll fuck it up. So you want to double click the 4 up, but it's spotted. So it's actually going to be a 3 up and they're not in cover. So we'll double click that. That erased the die that didn't hit. So we get 11 hits. So now I'm going to have you select all those dice and then hit roll again. All right.
Okay.
Now with this one, we have to now kind of look at 2 sheets. So we got to look at, we're going to go back to our data sheets here, and I didn't pull them out for the Votann, but so there'll be a little bit of trust me, bro, but I'm kind of I somewhat thought of this being from like mostly your perspective. Mm-hmm. All right. So you can hover over the Pathfinder's data sheet here. You'll see that the Pulse Carbine has a strength of 5. Then you'll ask your opponent, hey, what is the toughness of your warriors? Since that's what you're shooting. And their toughness is 5. Also, luckily, oftentimes with some of the TTS built stuff, in the case of the Votann, somebody actually did a very good job. And if you hover them, you'll actually see all their datasheet stuff over it. Though this is based on 9th edition, I think. So it is out of date because this says 4, and in 10th edition, their toughness is 5.
I was going to ask.
I just noticed that. I was like,
T and a 4.
Yep, this is 9th edition. Okay, never mind on that part. But yes, their toughness is 5.
Okay.
So to determine which of these will go, or will make it through, what we're looking for is it's based on a chart, which if we go and hover over the main rules here, we need to get to the wound roll. It is a couple pages down from where we were on transport. It is page 21.
That one right there.
21? Page 21. Yep. I can't remember if the pages are turning for you and me as well. That's why I wasn't sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you'll see we're going to start off at the 4, the middle there. So if the strength is equal to the toughness, then a 4 up will wound. However, if the strength is greater than the toughness, you'll wound on a 3 up. If the strength is twice or more than twice the toughness, you'll wound on 2s. And then it's the opposite. So strength less, 5s, strength half, 6s. So, for example, if your strength was 5 and their strength and their toughness, say, was 1, then you would have wounded on 2s. Or if their toughness was 10, then it'd be 6s. But they're even. So we're going to hit our 4 ups here. Why don't you double click those 4 ups? So up here, you'll just hit.
There we go. Yeah. And we're going to double click 4 up.
Yep. All right. Those are the remaining 4 ups. Now I need to take this lot and roll to save. These have no AP. And so I need to just go based on their save stat, which is a 4 up. Now, this is a good point to always double check when you're looking. Always double check your leader of the unit, since this is being led by someone, to just double check on their sheet if they're getting any extra benefits. So, for example, sometimes maybe they'll give the whole unit an extra save, or a different type of save. So in this scenario, the leader is only giving them a 5 up invulnerable save. That, however, doesn't matter because there's no AP here. So the save is still 4, which means we'll just look at how many of them. I'm going to click once on the 4 up. This is a scenario where, so I'm just clicking once on 4 up. Okay. Because this will highlight all of the ones that are below a 4 up. And so now I know there are 3 hits going to this unit. And this is, again, a scenario where each of these die represents 1 attack. Therefore, it also means that they're dealing 1 damage each. You then go to the datasheet of that warrior again. And as is accurate on here, and as is in 10th edition, that W, which is their wounds, is a 1. So each of those hits remove a model from the board.
Wow.
Just
takes them out already.
Yep. Each of those go through and kill that model. Because each model only has 1 wound, and there are 3 attacks towards this whole unit. Now you get the choice to pick which of the units go out first. The only restrictions are you're like lieutenant, essentially, your leading model, and the actual leader a character unit leading the group have to be last. But of the rest of them, totally up to you. Carte blanche. But the Tau aren't done yet. They've got more guns to shoot. Mm-hmm. We do want to double check actually quickly, just to see. They are, so to the closest, they're 13.8, which generally, a lot of times, depending on how people play it, they'll either do it where, like, it's dependent on kind of how pedantic someone's being. So you'll either do it just based on the closest unit, and then you just shoot the rest of the unit, which is how most people do it, right?
Okay.
Because if I'm going to be able to, for example, take those shots, and I can pull from the back here, then obviously I can't be picky about where you shoot from. But it is somewhat good sometimes to maybe be like, all right, the rail rifle, has 30 inches. So let's maybe look forward here and see what we need. Oh, well, we're in plenty range, right? So let's shoot that. Let's shoot those rail rifles, shall we? And there are 3 of those. Which is partly having me question how this unit is put together, but let me just double check before I'm like making a horrifically illegal team here.
Mm-hmm.
Pathfinder team. Nope. Oh, that's right. It's the two of the pulse combines are with a grenade launcher. That's okay. That makes sense now. Now I remember now I remember how that was built. All right, let's get back to our Pathfinder team here. So, why don't you roll me 3? You're gonna wanna. We'll bring this down here, so you could just, if anything, just mash this like with the 10 especially to bring it to 1. Why don't you build that up to 3 die? Oh, there you go. Then you can spawn and roll those. And we're looking for 5 ups. Ooh,
2.
That's 2 6s. All right. Now, so we can hit that double click that 5 up there. All right.
Yep,
And select and roll those again. We're gonna go for our wound roll. Now you are double because these are strength 10. So you will wound on 2s. Did I lose you?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I was going to say, wait. Yeah, no. I disconnected from the session. I have been invited. All right, let's get back in there. Oh my god, the same thing every time. All right. Boy.
TTS. This is why TTS is great for playing in 40K, but it obviously does have its limits. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's try that again.
Yeah, let's roll these dice.
Select the 2 die, and we were going to roll.
Yep. Be for your wounds. All
so
right.
We got a 2 and a 6.
Yes. So that means, but what's important is we have a 6, which means despite, and you have this too. So this, because you were double, it was a 10 up, that will wound. But because you only needed a 2 up because they have a toughness of 5. Mm-hmm. But this 6, you have devastating wounds. So no matter what, this 6, that's a hit and that's a wound.
Okay.
I at least get to roll though for this 2. Right. Now, this has an AP of -4. So this would turn my 4+ save into an 8+. Obviously, that is impossible with a single D6. But because of the leader, the call, the whole unit gets a 5 up invulnerable save. So I at least have the chance now, because that can't be modified by AP. I have a chance to at least do a 5 up invulnerable save. So I'm going to roll. And I get it. I get to stave off one of these.
Okay.
So this is an important detail now. We're going to save this one, but we're going to be hit by 1. Oh boy. Okay, there you go. What's important now, that did 3 damage. But remember, it did it through 1 die. And the die essentially is going to mean, in a lot of scenarios, that's the only... that's like 1 attack that's doing that amount of damage. So because of that, there's no spillover in 40K.
It's just the 1.
Unless, it has the keyword called blast, which this does not. This is somewhat of an anti-vehicle, anti-big person unit gun. And we'll kind of play with something around that in a bit, but for now, we'll wait on that. So because of that, one warrior is definitely gone. They're so dead.
Yeah.
They're just blasted into oblivion. And then finally, or somewhat finally, we have their grenade launchers. Which, oh boy. So in this scenario, we'll do both of them as the fusion. So this is going to be 2. So we're going to spawn 2 dice. And why don't you roll those for a 4-up. All right. Just hit roll then after that.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. All right. You have a choice to make now. You can decide, this sucks. I want to make one of those. You can choose to command reroll. Try to get a hit there. Or you can just be like, you know what? I'm going to save that. I might need it in a minute.
Yeah.
I'll let you make that decision now if you want.
I want to command reroll if I can.
Okay. So you'll mark yourself down. Right here, you got a little plus minus thing here. Bring that down to 1 or 0. Down 1 to 0. And let me just double check here. Again. So I'm not entirely gaslighted by my... Yes. Okay. Yes, it is just the 1. Okay. So yes, you can just grab a die and re-roll it.
Okay.
Yeah. If anything, just like shove one away or something, or yeah.
There we go.
Ooh.
1. Amazing.
Yep. All right. Unfortunate. But that'll do. Finally, we can move on to our crisis suits. That'll be our last shooting one. But we can kind of get the benefit of having we'll have to kind of look at two different battle suits. So let's start off with our commander and enforcer battle suit. He has 2 guns. He has a burst cannon and a twin pulse carbine. However, one thing that's always somewhat important sometimes is line of sight. And our commander, you can kind of finagle yourself in there. But he's kind of tight on that wall, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's supposed to be. Which means he doesn't really have a good view out there. But remember, we said we can shoot through this. So if this was blocking, he would be screwed. But as we noted, we can shoot through the terrain as long as they're touching it, which we've denoted that they are. So he'll get his shot. Yes. So we're gonna he's gonna get 4 die, and he's gonna be hitting on 3s. All right, let's hit our 3-ups here. Get rid of that 1. Fuck that 1. All my homies hate 1s.
All right. So these.
All right, and then their strength 5. Oh, so yeah, in this scenario, we're gonna say we don't like melee. We don't want to deal with melee. So we're gonna have our commander shoot at these guys.
Sure.
This is an important thing. What we need to do now, though, is we need to make sure we're telling the whole unit who the whole unit is shooting at. Because we can choose maybe to say have our commander shoot this unit, and maybe the rest of them shoot these guys. And we could bring that even more specific and bring that down to just specific weapons. So say in that last with the Pathfinders, that railgun, which is really good against weapons, or one of the grenades that they had is also anti-vehicle, they could have just shot those weapons specifically at, say, like these guys, if they were in range. Which they might have been, but I didn't want to worry about it then. But for now, we're going to be like, hey, we really don't want these guys in our way. Let's just fire everything at them. So, did you re-roll again? Or was, did you roll your wounds yet?
No, not since these three. No.
Okay, so yes. Why don't you select those and let's roll for wounds. You've got strength 5, and the Chthonian Berserkers have a toughness 5, so you're looking for 4s.
So just roll.
Yes.
6, 6, and 5.
Damn! Those are all wounds.
Okay.
And they don't have much armor at all. So guess what? They get a 6-up save. Better roll some 6s. Hey, we got one.
You got one. You got one. There you go.
We got one. So we're taking 2 wounds. Because those are each damage 1. But this is a squad of 5, so this is going to hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
That's 2 going away. And they're not even done. You get 2 more on this commander alone with his twin pulse carbine. So let's spawn 2 and make that roll.
One and a 2.
Right. And you needed a 5-up. So
yeah.
That's an oof. But you now have your crisis battle suits, normal, and we determined they were also going to just try to destroy them. So let's start with their twin pulse carbines. Now, they each get 2 attacks. There are 5 of them. No, there are 3 of them. Sorry. So you're gonna spawn 6 die. We'll just do it this way. Spawn 6 die and roll them. You're still hitting on 5s though, just the same. Oh my god!
Wow,
that's rather unfortunate. All right, but you have 3 plasma rifles, so let's make this 3 die.
It would hurt less if they were all ones.
And roll those. And let's roll these. This one you need 4s. Oh, look at that.
All
right. Now you're strength 8 with these. And you're looking at a toughness 5, so you're hitting, it's not double yet, so you're going to wound on 3s this time.
Okay, so roll them again, see if we can.
Yep. Let's get those 3-ups. Damn.
3 5s, there we go.
All right, now this is AP minus 3, this is important. So these are AP minus 3. They don't have the invul save. So no matter what, all 3 of these attacks are just going to hit. I cannot do a thing.
Okay.
And so that is the squad. They're out.
Wow, just like that.
Yep. And that is exactly why being able to start and cover can be so important. Because they are just out there. They're naked. Their hope was to go first, right? They wanted to get out there so that they could get in there, get in cover and whatnot. They couldn't do it though. Nothing to protect them.
Yeah.
Also, Bennett gets benefit in larger terrain scenarios, but again, this isn't meant to be an example of perfect strategy. This is meant to just teach you how the game works. But yeah. All right. Now, I will note, you had technically a couple of, you had missile pods remaining, but that unit is gone. So, that's it. That's it, man. They're done. That's why it's important that you have to predetermine who you're firing at. Because if you do eliminate them, you can't suddenly just be like, oh, now I want to shoot the rest of the guns at here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can't change target.
Nope.
Okay.
Which is all right. All right. So now, somewhat similarly, we're going to attempt something, not for the sake that you should ever do it, but for the sake, again, of learning. We're going to have the Crisis battlesuits attempt a charge, because we're now going to the charge phase. Again, don't recommend doing this.
Okay, so all of that was the shooting phase.
Yes. We've shot everything that can see something.
Okay.
Or could, because technically we determined that they are not shooting anything.
Yes.
So we can measure out. So this commander, which is our furthest up unit, is 10.9 inches. So we'll round that up to 11. Inches away from this. So this is a pretty long ball ass charge. Let's see if we can do it. So we're going to turn this into 2 die. We're going to spawn and roll 2 dice. And if we can roll, oh my God.
2 6s, baby.
All right. We got that juicy 12-inch charge. So we can take this unit and just go right up to them.
12 inches of venom. Here we go.
Now there's going to be an important aspect to this, which is going to be that we can somewhat conga line ourselves, but we need to measure each unit's distance here. So, because we can kind of get the extra inch here because we rolled that 12, we can move him a little bit farther up than just the 11 to get to this one. We can move him up here to get to this guy.
Okay.
And so now we can move this one here. But you might be like, oh, like, because now we got a thing called coherency to deal with. Or, yeah. So, for example, just getting this to be what you can get the benefit of when you're in melee with somebody is you are able to fight a unit so long as you are at least essentially within 1 model degree of it. So like there's this unit, there's one ally in between him and this unit. So they are able to do the melee attacks. Now say this had to be like a conga line, like this. Or here actually, even the somewhat truthful one, because one of them isn't going to reach.
Yeah.
So they're touching, they're based as it's known. But this guy can kind of get up to here. But like, say for example, in this somewhat what we're going to use as our example, say it's like this. He's 2 degrees of separation away. So he will not be able to melee attack this unit.
Sure.
So you'll be down a set of 3 you'll be set down a set of battlesuit fists. Which I do believe the commander also, their melee weapon is a battlesuit fist. So yes. So in this scenario, instead of having 4 battlesuit fists, you will get 3. But we get to do that. So let's roll. We're going to roll. And so they get 3 attacks each. So we get to do 3 times 3. So we get to spawn 9 dice and make our attacks. All right. And we're looking to hit on 5s. That's a lot of good die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now let's set our 5 up here and clear them out and see what we're getting. All right. Roll those again.
7.
You're in strength 5. However, now these are vehicles, so they'll probably have a little bit different of a toughness.
Oh my God, that's a lot of ones.
Ooh. Yeah. And we're looking at toughness 6. So now you're even looking at trying. Yeah. So you're trying now to hit on 5 ups as your wounds.
Oh no.
This is where that Tau melee is going to be coming in, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll clear out these. We got one.
Yeah, it's just one.
All right. And it's no AP either. So they get a 4-up save. See if we can make that. They do.
They do. Meets it. Okay.
So yes, meets it, beats it. All right. Now, the important part of this is going to be an important part of the fight phase here. And that is when you fight, you get in a melee fight with a unit. Even if it's in your turn, they get to fight back. So we've got
fair.
Yes, so we've got 3 units within the melee range here, and they've got plasma knives. So we've got, so that'll be 6 die. And we're going to be hitting on 4s. Nice. This is strength 4, though. And those battle suits, they've got a toughness of 5. So we're hitting on 5s.
2.
We got 2 through. All right. Now this is 0 AP. So now again, you're going to go to your sheet. You're going to look at the crisis battle suits first. And you're going to look at their save. But also, again, you can double check. Go look at the crisis commander and see his abilities. See if he's got anything that would supposedly... Also, we did forget one thing, which is that if any of those ranged attacks, if you got a 1, we were supposed to re-roll that.
Oh, right.
Oops.
That's one of the abilities. Okay.
Yes. Oops. All right. But nevertheless, you are not getting any extra benefits to your saves. Also, this is AP nothing, so you don't need to worry about the shield drones giving them an invul save. So you can just grab those up and roll them and try to get them. Oh, I immediately forgot. 3s. Sorry. Ooh, you save them both. Look at that. Who said the tower bad in melee? All right. And now nothing else is in melee range with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So we're pretty much just going to get to the end of the round here. Which means we're in turn 1. I'll put that there. Which means we will now move on to the Leagues of Votann command phase at the bottom of turn 1. So we're going to start. Both sides getting a command point.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I forgot to do at the very beginning of the game. The Leagues of Votann were supposed to give out 2, count them 2,
Viking
judgment tokens.
Oh, judgment.
Somewhat correct. Yeah, judgment tokens. Or I think it's like... Hold on.
I got a lot of these in high school. But go on.
Same.
Yeah.
2 units to start with 2 judgment tokens. Yes. So we're going to have it be them. That technically might have mattered here, but again, going to kind of just let it go. And then we'll make it the devilfish itself. So not the unit, just the devilfish.
Mm-hmm.
That will matter in a bit. Mostly which is when they die. And then when I attack them soon. All right. Now we're in the command phase. So what's important is... Oh, so we don't need to look at the primary mission because this will only start from the second mission. Essentially, because you haven't gotten the chance to move yet a lot of the times, you can't really do too much in a lot of scenarios.
We technically haven't finished the first round, right?
Yes. I think technically with the mission rule, maybe you can sometimes with the mission rule, you can do stuff in the first turn. Because it'll just be like, sometimes it'll be based on either command phase and stuff like that. But for now, we're not worrying about any of that because it is turn 1 and we're playing in Leviathan time, which I think for the most part generally had nothing happen in points-wise first turn. Especially in this one. So we can do some movement. And now is where we can do something fun. So we're going to have... we're going to look at some measurement here. So we need to see right now. So here, technically these guys needed to be up against the wall because that would have been pertinent. All right. We're treating them as they're against the wall. Now, this will be somewhat a general sense because I can't measure vertically. If I can, I don't know how in this. Oh, here we go. You'll see here, if you hover over the container, it has a height of 2.5 inches.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Why is this important? Because we need to move. We're going to move our dudes
up and over.
Up. Not up and over, but just up and on top. So we're going to kind of shift them around here to get them in a good spot.
So this would be 5 inches in height, right? Because it's 2.5 for each of these containers.
Which means all we're getting essentially is we're getting this unit to climb up. And then we can get this unit, this part of the unit here, to move just about 2.5 inches forward. All this one is going to be able to do is get up.
And this doesn't break how close these units need to be to each other?
So this is a scenario that I'm a little iffy on. A lot of times I've generally seen or felt it kind of be okay with like the vertical part not break coherency too much. Because it is 2.5, and I think the technical measurement is 2.5. But it absolutely would if we went through the rest of these. So we want to get these guys. This is going to be 2.5, so they can get over here just fine.
Okay.
These guys, so this one we can get again right up here because that'll get them 5 inches. Then this guy can make it here. This guy can make it here. This one will be left down on the bottom. But again, it's a conga line, right? So as long as we're some incoherency somewhere. So if he was here, oops, just did a cool flip. If he was here, this guy's fucked.
Yeah, okay.
But he's here, he's good.
Okay. It's coherency o'clock somewhere.
Yes. So, but that will definitely mean, though, this guy can't shoot jack. If he's in range of anything, he's not shooting it.
Right.
All right. Let me double check some of the fun ones we've got here. I don't think anything in movement. I will note, one thing that could have happened is had they targeted this, I could have done something where I had them shoot back, but I think it has to be that unit. Yes. And unfortunately, the Berserkers... Oh, they technically do get a grenade launcher. I think only one of them has it, though. The one thing I don't necessarily, that I get annoyed by sometimes with the GW app for 40K, which I do use somewhat begrudgingly. Because yes, I'm a simp and I fucking use Warhammer Plus. Not for probably forever, but for now. And it doesn't always denote when you use the command bunker how many of the weapons you actually have. You have to kind of just like remember. But yeah, technically they could have shot a grenade launcher back, which would have been helpful, like this Berserker unit.
Yeah.
But they also killed super fast, so it didn't necessarily help. Otherwise, we'll get to this unit now. We'll move them up 5 inches. We're going to try to see if we could fit us into that objective, but it looks like we just can't. Otherwise, one of the things we don't like here is we don't really want to be in melee right now. So we're going to pull a fall back. And we'll move over here. Describe. We're going to go move. We're going to get off some pages here. Where's our movement? Where are we? Movement phase. We get to fallback moves. So, when a unit falls back, each model in that unit can make a fallback move by moving a distance in inches less than or equal to its move characteristic. When doing so, you can move within engagement range of enemy models, provided it does not end that move within engagement range of enemy models. Luckily, in this scenario, it's not going to be super bad. However, if you wish to, you can move over enemy models when making a desperate escape attempt by making a fallback, and as if those enemies weren't there, but you must make a desperate escape test, and which is based on rolling d6. A roll of 1 or 2, one model from that unit is destroyed. However, if you succeed, then you are good. So, in this scenario, let's say, because they have a movement, these pioneers, they have a movement of 12 inches. So they could technically find a way to get all the way over here. However, if they wanted to do that, they would have to make a desperate escape attempt, which is not necessarily super bueno. Because if we roll a 1 or 2, they are dead. Let me double check, but also but one thing that can be annoying in many scenarios is if I wanted to do all that, I would have to, by falling back, I forego the right to shoot. Sorry, one second. I'm trying to think. Just trying to check stuff here. So, what I can either make the choice of I can try to fall back, hope that you end up doing the same, which for all intents and purposes we would do that, or I could try to keep you here and hope that I can that essentially we, in our wet noodle fight of shooting and meleeing each other.
Mm-hmm.
That we can do that. But this is then as like where I would conceptually, for example, I would ask you, hey, because I may not know or whatnot, does this unit get the ability to fall back and shoot? Because some do. And that will be based on, essentially on the data sheet, we'd be looking at any ability. Let's get over here. We get turbojets, so each time this unit advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, just adds, you get the 6. Otherwise, this unit, Battlesuit Support System, this unit's ability is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back, but doing so only models equipped with this war gear can make ranged attacks. Did I put the Battlesuit Support System in here? No. I chose to give you the weapon support system, which meant you could ignore any or all modifiers to the hit roll.
Okay.
So now I have this fun decision to make of, hey, maybe I get stuck in, or I take a moment here and I fall back. But again, I don't need to fall back necessarily forward. But what I can do, sorry, is I can fall back the 12 inches. So one thing that's new, okay, one thing I'll also note here. One thing that's new in Pariah Nexus is some movement shenanigans. So these have an oval base, which means they technically, as they move around, will need to make a pivot move if they wish to turn themselves. So these guys, you can just kind of like do this, right? You can move them around, you can spin them around. Doesn't matter what way they're facing, right?
Sure.
They can get through, they can go all around this, spin it around days on end because they've got a round base. Your Devilfish and these guys don't have that benefit. They're also backwards. So we're going to take 2 inches. So to be able to get it so that we can go around this bunker. And then we're going to go up to 10 now because that's what's remaining. So we're going to take 2 inches of their movement and just get over here.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do now here. Luckily, they don't technically need to do that, but we're going to go here anyway. Maybe we do. Oh, wait, no, because they're going 12. So, and they're not going through you, so they can go here. And this guy is just going to kind of have to go sideways if he wants to not go through you. So he'll technically do like this because he'll pivot this way and then kind of do this. So technically I've fallen back. It doesn't have to be physically back, right? It's just as long as I'm not going through you in some capacity. So in this scenario, because of where we were positioned, I was able to do this, which is a funky position, but we're in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't shoot you, but with them now, but they're somewhat safer. And now I can shoot with everyone else as we'll go into my shooting phase.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off with our great Hearthkin Warriors. I'm going to do it this way because this makes more sense. They are, this is my closer range segment here. All right, so we've got some bolters with these with these warriors. What do we got here? Hold on. Who's what? Oh, this is all of them. My bad. That's why this gets annoying. And why I'm definitely not doing this long term. Mm-hmm. I'm not using this app long term for this reason. All right. So they're going to shoot. We're going to have them shoot your Devilfish. They're going to shoot with their Ion Blaster, which they have 7 of. All right. And they have both. No. These have both. These have the missile and the plasma beamer. Okay. So they're going to shoot the Devilfish with the Ion Blaster. The plasma beamer. No. Sorry, this thing gets so annoying. All right, yes. The Ion Blasters actually instead are going to go to your Pathfinder squad. And then and we removed 3 of those, or 4 of those. So there's actually only 3 of those left. We're going to send an L7 missile launcher to your Devilfish. And then
Good.
yes, and then Etkarn
Fun.
Plasma Beamer into the Devilfish. And then the Call will shoot the Combi Bolter into the Pathfinder. So we're split firing. So we're going to start off now with our warriors. Let's see if we can deal with this Devilfish, because let's see if we can lead into something fun. So I'll start with the Beamer. It's 1 attack. Oops. Okay. You. Nope. There we go. It's one attack at 4 up. Boom. Also, let me double check, actually. I do need to double check. When you have a judgment token against something. Okay. I get to add 1 to the hit roll and wound rolls as well. So I actually only needed to hit on 3s with that one. But it doesn't matter. It's still 4. And the wound roll now. So we're gonna shoot this. So this has a strength of 8. Let's go look down at our Devilfish data sheet. Strength of 9. But I get to add 1. So instead of it being 5, it's going to be 4 ups. And we're hitting, baby. Because we've judged that Devilfish. We said, fuck you, Devilfish. All right. So this will do AP -3. So why don't you roll that? You are looking for a save of 6. Ooh.
Perfect.
All
Nailed
right.
it.
That's probably not worth making that roll for, that like re-roll for. So let's we're gonna do why don't we have that, let's have that go through. So it's gonna do 2 damage. Now there's 2 ways to indicate this. We could take a dice, we could just like create a dice here. So if we were in the real world, right? Like if this was like a normal, we were doing this in life. We'd probably just like take a die. So for example, we take like a D10 and we'll set this to, and so now this has, let's figure out, it has a total wounds of 13. It's going to take 2 damage. So maybe instead of it being a D10, we'll do a D12. Dice. 12. Oops. There we go. So then we'll set this to 11, because it took 2 damage. And you'd put it here. Otherwise, you can just double click. Please? Oh, no. You can left click or right click on it, and you can maybe put like near the beginning, 10 out of 13, something like that. Oops, it's space instead of that, and you could do that way.
Okay.
Some of the models, like I said, sometimes they will have put the wounds or whatnot in. So like if you right click your breacher here, for example, down here, you'll see that they put the stuff here. Again, this is all going to be from 9th edition, so not going to always be accurate. So I'll just put it up by like the name and whatnot. That way it's easily visible. Or again, you can just kind of do that. But all right, now we've got our missile launcher. This is going to be focused, because the missile launcher can be shot either as a blast or as focused. But this is going against your tank, so this is going to be focused. So again, it's going to be 1 roll, 1 die.
That's 5.
Yep, and we needed a 4 up. Technically, we actually only need a 3 up. And this is going to be strength 9 this time, so that will match. But you get +1 to the wound roll. So we're hitting this on 3s, baby. Ew. Gross.
Yeah. Hitting it on 3s, baby.
Yep. I, however, have 1 command point to reroll. Let's get it, baby. Yeah. So this has an AP -2. So this will now remove the save. This will make it a 5-up save on that Daredevil fish.
All right. And we're gonna get it.
Another one. Oof.
I sure got it.
All right, let me see something quick just to make sure. Okay. All right. So then now we're actually going to do this damage is D6 damage. So I'm just going to roll this and okay. Well, we're in the middle there. So this will do 3 damage. So let's set this down to 8. And I think that was it for the things going to the devilfish. Now we've got 1, 2, -3. It was technically 8 -4, so we've got 4 left. All right, so we've got 4 ion blasters going to the Pathfinder team. Now this is important. We get +1 to shoot, but we also got -1 to shoot because of cover. So this will hit on essentially whatever is just on the sheet.
Okay.
So these ion blasters now are going to hit on a 4-up. We're getting that. Now we're going to wound again. Same thing. All right. The strength of this weapon is a 5.
Mm-hmm.
The Pathfinder team has a toughness of 3. So we're getting... So I needed a wound on 3s. All right. These have a -2 AP now. So we'll get into something here in a second, though. But for now, you need to make... You got a 4-up save, but it's -2. So you got to hit some 6s there, my man.
6s.
That's right.
I don't know about that.
All right.
I don't think
Were
so.
those
Tim.
your rolls? Okay.
Yes.
But you got something here. You've got...
Personality. What?
No, you've got shield drones.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Let me see how many. It looks like just 1. So that shield drone is going to take one of the hits here. Boop. Get that out of here. So now you've only got 1, and that's 1 wound, which they have. No, they're not being led by anyone else. So yes, they've got that there. Yes, sorry. I was just checking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So then you otherwise now are only losing... Wait, hold on. Let me double check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Why did they only have 8? Hello? We were doing the math earlier correctly, but it's just more of the like, we're missing 2 here.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Got it. Okay, we're good. All right. But you're losing 1. But hey, that could have been worse.
Yeah.
Now, technically, I didn't make a notation of the pistols, and technically, everybody in this unit does have the pistol. But for posterity's sake, and again, maybe to get that kind of fun/funny thing, we're gonna send all the ion pistols into the devilfish. Also, just to kind of make it like all going into one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be, how many of them are left? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pistol shots into the tank-like thing. All right, these need to hit. These would hit on 4 up, but now they get to hit on 3 up because it's been judged.
So 4.
Once again. Yep. Now this is strength 5. This is toughness 9. So we would have needed a 5, but we're going back down to 4s, which is only 1. So this is an AP minus 2. So you need to make a 5-up save on this bad boy. Otherwise, you'll feel the wrath of 1 damage.
Hey.
Ooh. Shrugged off. Pistol did nothing. All right. Now, let's do some measurement here. We got some funky things going on here.
Okay.
So we've got a couple units to look at. We got to double check our line of sight. Now, obviously, these guys up here, these 3, they've got pretty solid range of a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So they're up to about, we'll say, we can round this down. It's 13.2. It's enough. A lot of times we'll give that. So we can get up to about 13 inches there. You know, this guy, however, trying to maybe shoot through this cover, this will need like 19. 18.4, giving the rest of the unit, you know, it's a little tight there. So we'll say this needs the 19. However, the bolter has a 24-inch range, and they have high-las rifles that also have 24 inches. However, while these guys can see these ones here, no one else can. If we like go to the perspective of, well, arguably maybe this guy could, right here. Maybe you could make the argument that maybe this guy could, you know, just like peeking around the corner kind of thing. Like, it depends on like what you wanted to do. But technically, they can all see this thing. They can all see this devilfish. And I want to get rid of that devilfish. So what we'll do is these 3 up here, they're going to shoot these crisis suits. And then the rest of these guys are going to shoot this devilfish. So we're going to get 3. Let me double check. Oh, wait. I already did that. Let me double check this one. Yes, they have the Autarch battered bolter. So we've got 3 bolters going into these guys here. So let's see. They get 2 attacks each. So this is going to be 6 attacks.
Okay.
But they're judged, so this will hit. Instead of on 4s, on 3s. And then once again, now they have a strength 4. Your crisis suits have a toughness of 5. So this would be 5 ups, but again, going down to 4s. That's none of them, however.
Nope.
Let's see. Stoopadoopadoo. Somebody gets a reroll, I think, though, so I do want to double check that quickly. I think it's the call, the leader. Oh, it's not attached. Never mind. That matters not. All right. So now we've got, with the rest of them going into the devilfish, we've got... See, they had a total of 7. 2 of those went. So it's going to be 5 bolters and then these 2 high-las weaponry. So we're going to do 5 bolter shots into the devilfish. That's going to make it 10 die. Hitting on 3s because, again, judged. Oh, my God.
Only 4.
Wow. Out of 10. That's sad. Wow. Okay. That's going to be bad too, because that's for sure going to be not it, Chief. All right.
Well,
Let's start at the High-Las auto rifle. So these are going to be 3 attacks. There's only one of them, though. So we're going to be doing this 3. This is going to hit on our 3 ups, because, again, judgment. Then this is a strength 6. Once again, the devilfish toughness 9. So we're looking at still 4s for being angry at him. All right, that devilfish gets to make a save. 1 save at -1. So it's going to be 4 ups.
yeah.
Ooh, it'll make it. All right. Now, the High-Las rotary cannon is going to fire at it. It's only 1, but there's 6 attacks with it. Let's go. We're hitting with 4s with our judgment this time. So it's a little harder to hit with this thing. We do get sustained hits, however. So this 1, or this 6, is going to add a die to our total for the wounds.
Oh.
Yeah. Because essentially this crit makes it double up. So what's really funny is if you hit with every attack, so say we did 6 shots, right? We hit 4 ups on every one, but we got 2 6s, or even just this 1 6. That means 6 shots would have somehow did 7 shots worth of damage. Potentially. However, this is a strength 6, and it is strength going against toughness 9. What would be 5 is going to become 4. So we're going to just do this. Hope for them 4 ups. Oof.
Wonderful.
All right. Once again, going to be 4 ups to save here.
And it
No. All right. This is definitely better for chaff than I thought, than I assumed it was coming into it. I definitely had these slightly backwards in my mind. But here we are. Here we is. All right, so it will take 1 damage. Now it's at 7. And then finally, the Edikarn Plasma Beamer. Actually, no. Because it would be one of these, likely in a back, which is going to be out of range. So no, it won't. That's it for them. And that's it for shooting. We are, however, we are gonna try to be cool, and we're gonna try to go for a charge here.
Yeah, don't blame
We're gonna we're gonna charge this devilfish. We need 8 inches.
Mm-hmm.
We get it with plenty to spare. So let's get ourselves in here. We kind of just honestly do this. We have a lot of room though, so I'm gonna kind of actually like spread out a little. That was nifty. And then we'll get into here. This will be important getting potentially into the start of the next turn. But that'll be the only charge we make. These guys are going to stay here. And then these guys they fell back, so they cannot charge. So let's get back into them Hearthkin Warriors. I'm actually going to start with the Call because he's got a fun melee weapon. Everyone else's is kind of boring. So he's going to do 4 attacks at 2 ups. So this is a scenario. I know in a way he hits with 1s, but because we're adding 1 to each of these rolls because judged. Right. It's yep, add 1 to the wound roll and to hit roll and wound roll. Yep. So yeah, so these will all hit technically. But nothing else special. So we'll roll. He has a strength of 5. So it's gonna be that scenario where it's gonna become the 4s again. All right. You got to make these -2, so you got to hit 5 ups on these.
Okay.
These are going to do 2 damage each.
Yeah.
Ooh, but just save them both. All right. Now, these are going to be way less cool, probably, of attacks here. 4, 5, 6. All right. We've got 6 coming through here. These are just going to be like standard close combat weapons. So essentially just like really big daggers. So what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boop. All right, we're looking for 3 ups. Rolling again. This is strength 4, so now we would be double. So now we're doing 5s. We got 1.
Okay.
So this is AP0 though. So this is a 3-up save. Oh,
Come on.
Don't worry, it is only 1 damage, so you're still only down to 6. That thing's hanging on pretty solidly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now that devilfish gets to fight back. And so looking at the data sheet here, you're looking at the armored hull gets to attack. So you get 3 attacks at 5 up.
All right.
Thought I lost you for a second. I was worried.
No, it's just anytime I select
yeah,
something
just,
after having not for a while, it'll lag.
Yeah,
but
well, and it'll sometimes also just this map as a whole will just lag out.
yeah.
Damn.
All right.
Okay, what's again?
So
6,
1 on 5 and a
1.
6.
Okay, 1 second before you do something. I'm just curious. Oh no, it just lets me view this. Okay. All right. So let's. You were looking for. Once again, you're looking for 5 ups. There we go.
Which was 2. Yep. 2 of these.
All right. So you're doing this strength 6 to my toughness 5. So you're going to hit on 3s. You're going to wound on 3s.
So just roll them again. See if we can do.
Yep.
3 plus.
Damn.
And do for both. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, 6 and a 6. So that'll be both of those.
All right. I got to make now. That's going to be an AP0. So I got to make 4 up saves. That's not going to do good. Yep. So that's going to be the 1 damage. That one now. So let me double check here.
So that'd effectively be any of the Hearthkin warriors.
This one gets. I have the med pack. Yes, I have the meta pack equipped here. So you will get a feel no pain, which means with a 6 up on a die, I will negate this damage. Nope.
Fine.
And there he goes.
Okay.
All right. That's the fight step over. Technically, one of the things that we could do, if we hadn't already, was say they had charged and made it here and all that. I can take a moment then to kind of consolidate the unit. I could kind of shunt them over and kind of get them in a bit more of a proper surrounding position. Like, so for example, I could kind of do like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of moving them around each other to like create space. But it's after the fight phase. It's like the very last thing you do in the fight phase.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that'll do it. So next up, we're going to go into the next command phase. Now we can finally start looking at points. So for the primary mission, we've got at the end of each command phase, the turn whose player it is scores 5 victory points for each objective marker they control. Now this is where the question is going to come in. So we're going to say, so you've got the one in your home base here. And then we'll say somewhat for a posterity's sake kind of thing. We'll we'll say they're this minute inch here. So you have this one by the graces of this guy's base. But now we've got a bunch of units here, right? You're in it. I'm in it. How do we determine this?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look at your data sheet. We're going to see it has an OC of 2, or objective control. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 models from this. So there's the Call, which has an OC of 1, and the Warriors, which have an OC of 2. They each are adding up this OC. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So that means we take this objective. So in this turn, for example, then you are only going to score points from this objective and this objective. However, you have, for the submission rule, you control the objective marker in your own deployment zone. So let's roll that D6 and see if you get an extra CP.
All right.
It's on a 4 up you're looking for. No.
2.
That's, yep. It's all right. So we'll say we kind of move, let's flash forward slightly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say, from a smart point this time, right? You guys will move down here, right? We'll probably have them move up somewhat in a way where they kind of do like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have some movement capacity to do stuff like this. So we'll make them do this. We'll get through a set amounts of shooting. We'll say like things didn't go great and maybe like they only lose these 2 guys. I'm going to kind of just like fast forward and pretend things now, right?
Sure.
Maybe you kill this guy. All right. So then we'd get to my turn, right? So we'd add the command point. But now it's my turn to do these things. So now I would look at, I'm controlling this objective and this objective. So now I also would get 2, which I didn't go over here, but these primary victory, we can go to the primary ones being these. So you got 10 last turn.
Okay.
I got 10 this turn. And then I'd, roll for that command point. I would get it, which would be nifty. And then we'd go through our stuff. So I would say then move here for sure. Put them up to cover though. From this side. Actually, because they're kind of anti-vehicle over there. We'll do this cover here. Then we'll maybe bring this unit, we'll say like forward to be kind of like this. We're kind of freeballing here. So we'll say like that. This guy does this. Stop it. Right, and they would stay where they're at. Now, there's a couple fun things here, and then we'll get into what would become your turn next. And I'll kind of have you somewhat play a little bit. All right, and I'll have you make some decisions now. So, the one thing that's important is now if I were going to shoot in this turn, these guys could not shoot these guys. And that is because they are engagement range with this devilfish. They're in melee with this devilfish. So they're stuck. So that would be their detriment in this scenario, right? Mm-hmm. But they have pistols, so they would be able to shoot, because if something has the pistol keyword, they can shoot in engagement range. So they could shoot all of their pistols at this devilfish, not the Pathfinders. That's kind of where that goes through, right? So now let's take a moment. We'll say we pretend here. Let's say we get rid of a couple Pathfinders, some things happen, and then we'll bring this devilfish down to like 4. Just pretending, right? Now we're going to fast forward. Your turn again. We'll say we've each done a reroll. How about that? All right, so it's the start of your turn. Now we're going to do these again. Let's actually say instead, you guys, we'll do one more fun thing. All right. Now they're not in engagement range. So instead what maybe you can do is you've got some movement to work with. So you, because they're infantry, these guys, they're infantry.
Mm-hmm.
They have the benefit, this will be from last turn. They have the benefit, they can move through cover. Because they're like jumping through windows. They're doing,
Okay.
Yeah. So now you get this benefit that we are getting them in. So now it's your turn again. We'll say again that all that normal stuff happened. Now it's your turn. We have an OC of 2, 4, 6, 7. But those Pathfinders each carry with them an OC of 1. So we've got 7. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Because this has 2. The Devilfish is an OC of 2, and it's still on it. Now you control this objective.
Okay. We captured the point, yeah.
Yes. So now we're going into your command phase, and you're getting a solid 15. And then we'll see if you get that spare command point here. Just to roll with as you go through. Nope. Nevertheless, though, we will still each get our extra 1 here. And now I want you to make some decisions here. What do you want to do? And you're in this scenario now. Do you try to keep your home objective? Or do you attempt to maybe thwart me from trying to maybe move these guys around? Because I could make it around this and probably get to this objective.
Mm-hmm.
Probably killing some of these guys along the way. Right? And then I can move these guys up, do the same thing. Because again, holding our objective here is beneficial for taking hold. But in some scenarios, maybe you don't need to hold as much here, especially with a 500-point game. If we were doing a different game mode. But we're playing take and hold. So you can either stay here, try to shoot out sniper-wise. Hit him with the blicky. Because we're looking at, it's pretty much the objective ends here right about, right about at the edge of this thing here. So as long as you would have 1 person on this top step here, you'd be good. So if you wanted to, you could find a way to conga line your way to this objective.
I think that is what I want to do. I want to... Yeah, I'm not going to prioritize keeping the home base here. I want to try to get to this middle objective.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, you could technically hold both if you do this conga line.
Okay, so if we did like...
So they'll have a movement total, just so you know, of 7 inches. Now going down will not cost them anything.
Okay, it's going up, that would.
Yes. I believe. I'll double check that. I'll double check that as you kind of measure here. I'll let you measure out. Let's just double check that movement over cover. Yeah, so A pipe is only 2 inches in height. Yes. Okay. Wait. Oh, it does. It does count down.
Down is included?
Yes, down is included.
So that would have been, that was 2.5 inches used up there of the 6.
Yes.
Ooh.
This might get spicy.
Yeah.
Now, with the Pathfinders, let's double check. Oops. I'll let you move here. Go very top down, squeeze up here. There we go. Let's see. So we've got Pathfinder team. They also had Scout. I definitely deployed terribly, by the way, but again, I don't play Tau. I don't remember them all the time. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Sorry, viewers. Oh no, this is not your Pathfinder. These are your Breachers.
Yeah, this is Breachers.
Yes. I'm trying to see mainly. They don't seem to get. So they get Assault, which means that they'll be able to shoot with their pulse blasters. So this is a unit where you could do that. You could try to give them an extra up to an extra 6 inches, and then you will get, and you will still be able to shoot. Or you could make them your marker team, and you could have the Crisis battle suits do it.
So I'm possibly not going to be able to do the line then from.
Well, you might. Let's see. Let's get them. So, honestly, there's no super harm if you want to roll the assault roll now, because you're probably not really going to want to charge anyway. So, so you'll just roll over here and roll a d6.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. We got a 2.
So you're going to add 2 inches, which will help largely with getting down.
Right, because it'd be. Well, these guys would be 5.
Yeah, so this is like. Essentially, so we would. To make this a spot then, we would make this the 7. So yeah, the closest the guy's going to get is there. So though you could see how the shooting phase goes, and maybe you find a reason to charge, but it's a bit of a pickle. Because you might, at that point, you would be probably giving up that whole objective. And like I said, there is literally nothing wrong with attempting to just stay there and shoot down the line. Just get, and maybe either again, make them be the markers for the Crisis team if you like their guns more, or utilize them. You can go down here and check, like, your Breacher team gets the Pulse Blaster, so they'll do 2 attacks. They get strength 6, AP -1. Or if they stay still, they can also use that support turret system, and they'll get 2 more attacks at 5 up. Versus your Crisis suits the way I have you set up with them, they will get. 1 second. They are. They're going to get 3 of the missile pod, 3 of the plasma rifle, 1 of the twin plasma, and 1 of the twin pulse carbine. But then they will also get from their commander as well a burst cannon, and the twin pulse carbine. So they'll get a lot of beef, and they can shoot right from where they're at too. So you could just attempt to lodge up here, and then just shoot them down.
Let's do that. Because, yeah, I think if I'm trying to move from back here,
yeah,
I don't think it's going to work. Let's.
And then similarly, if you'd wish, you can then pick which one of these two you would. So you can pick which one of these two you want to be the marker and the shooter. I will note the special rule with the Devilfish. It's a vehicle. Vehicles can shoot their ranged weapons in engagement range. So it would get all its guns. However, all of its guns is an accelerator burst cannon, which is 4 shots, 2 seeker missiles, which is 2 shots, like in total, and then the twin pulse carbine, which has 2, so it'll have 4 shots in total, which is decent. But then your Pathfinders still have.
It's more shots overall, right?
They can use their grenade launchers, which they technically could shoot to these 2 vehicles. Otherwise, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 6 total. So we've got 4 pulse carbines and 3 rail rifles still, which would do crazy damage to this group here. Or to these guys, for that matter.
Okay, let's make the Devilfish the marker, and we'll attack with the Pathfinder unit.
Okay, so let's start off. Let's get into shooting. Here, we'll do the. Did you want to do? You were gonna have these guys shoot.
Yes.
You want these guys to shoot? Okay.
Yes, I want these guys to shoot.
We'll put them in their technical spot up to the wall. All right. You'll still have the objective there. All right, so let's do the Pathfinders. Which one do you? I guess which do you want to shoot first? Do you want to shoot with these guys or these guys?
We're gonna start off with battle suits. We're gonna run the battle suits here first.
All right, let's do the battle suits. So I'll just quickly reference off here and let you know again.
Crisis.
So they haven't lost any units yet, so they're doing all 3 missile pods. So you're gonna do 6 attacks here. You're looking for 4 ups. Actually, no. You're looking for 3 ups. They're marked.
3 ups. Well,
they're guided.
In that case, we get 4 of them here.
All right. Their strength 7. Why don't you roll those die, and I'll double check their toughness. Oh, and it looks like you're hitting on 3s.
So
damn, even if they were 4s, you're good.
Yeah, that's
all right. Man, can I survive this? Let's fucking find out. I'm getting a 5-up save.
So just 1.
Oof. And those are 2 damage each, and these guys got 3 wounds each. So this. So that was gonna be total. So we're gonna do. It's gonna be. I'm trying to remember. Sorry, what was, my save was 4 up, so I'm only saving 1.
You're only saving 1.
So it's going to be 2 of these are going to kill 1. This guy, this pioneer.
Okay.
And then this will get 2 damage done to it because 1 die is left over. Because again, it doesn't like roll over.
Right.
However, being 1 out of 3, and that was the first set of guns. It's not looking good for this guy. All right. Then you got 3 plasma rifles. You can shoot those. That's going to be 3 dice total. So, yeah.
3.
Sometimes it gets like funky when you're like, you got 3 of this, but then like you have, that means you have this many attacks, blah, blah, blah. You're guided. So those ones are going to be 3 up as well.
So just 1.
I got 1. All right. That is still a strength of 8, so you're still hitting on them 3s.
All right. So then I roll again.
Yep. Trying to get them 3 up. Perfect.
4. Got it.
All right. That is, and now that's AP minus 3. I cannot save
You got to
that.
get a 6. Or no. Yeah, it'd be
Nope. I just cannot save it. And that's
yeah, 'cause
3
it'd be
damage
7.
on its own.
Okay.
So that, which would have killed it. Therefore,
And
they are
it's
no
out.
more.
Okay.
Now, obviously, they're done, unfortunately. But you've got some Pathfinders.
Yes. Yes, I've got these Pathfinders, and I have these Hearthkin Warriors that I want off of this.
This mortal plane.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So the way I have it set up right now is that they will have 3 of their rail rifles left, and it'll be 4 of their pulse carbines. So which do you want to do first? The rail rifles are the ones that do a shit ton of damage individually, but like are a lot easier to, or like if you hit, they're harder to hit but easier to wound.
Let's get pulse carbines out of the way first.
All right, so you're doing, that'll be 4, so you're doing 8 of those.
So 8 attacks.
And you're looking for 3 ups on this. All right.
5 of them.
Now you can make
And
your
we're
wound
doing
rolls.
toughness for wounds.
These are going to match, so they're going to be on 4s.
So that's
All
only
right.
going to be 3 of them.
Yes, and these are normal, so these are not dev wounds, so I don't need to worry about that. And then these are AP 0. These have a 4-up save. They have the call, actually, so I think... No, they have an invul save, so that's fine. So they will save all 3. They will take no damage from these.
Ugh.
All right, but you got that rail rifle. 3 of them.
Yes. So let's do rail rifles now.
These are going to be 4 ups. Damn.
So
All right,
2.
roll those. This, you only need 2s to hit. You're way more than double.
Hey!
Let's go.
2 2s.
All right. These aren't devastating because they weren't 6s, but I have an AP minus 4. But I get it, which would be nothing, but I have an invul save of 5. Oh, I'll save 1.
Got one of them.
Yep. So one of them is gone. All right. They're not out yet. Let's see. Let's just see if there's any fun specific ones that you could do of these. That could have helped, I guess, for sure. All right. Now you could decide, or no. So the thing is, you can't bring these guys into melee range if you want to or not. So you will just have to do melee with the Devilfish.
Only melee.
Which is armored hull, so you get 3 attacks. Oops, sorry. You'll get 3 attacks for the 5 at 5 ups.
All right, so 3 attacks, 5 up.
Yep.
That's going to be 2 of them, looks like.
Yeah. All right, that's
All
a
right,
strength
roll for
6, so you'll hit on
wound.
3s.
Just 1.
All right, but we get our 4-up save. Didn't make it.
Didn't make it.
And that will do the 1 wound it needs to any of these guys. So that Hearthkin Warrior
Yep,
is
take one
out.
of them out.
All right, then I'll fight back. We'll do the 4 of the call first here.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a 2-up. Strength is 5, so he's going to need a 5, right? Yes. All right. This is AP -2 on that thing, so it's going to be 5 ups. Damn, you made it through.
It'll be one of them.
All right, so let's lose 2 more damage. It's almost there. I've almost got it.
Yep.
All right. And then the remaining, is there 2? Oh, there's the remaining singular Hearthkin Pioneer or Warrior. The one left. Make your stand, buddy.
Lone Warrior.
All right, he's going to hit. Will he get the 6? He will.
Yes, he will.
All right. Can you make it on the 3-up save? I think it's 3-up, right?
I got 4.
Yeah. That dagger does nothing. Damn.
Imagine if it did. That'd be crazy.
Can you imagine? All right. That's the fight. That's some fighting. And honestly, for the most part, I mean, we would continue kind of going down that route, but that's basically the game.
Whew.
Yeah, I know it's a lot. We're what are we now? We're 2.5 hours into this recording.
I'll tell you what though. There's a lot here. I
Yes.
guarantee, like, by the next time we do this, I'm gonna forget a bunch of this. But
Absolutely.
I am impressed how, like, there is a ton of rolling that you're doing on a micro level, but looking at it on a macro level, I'm already kind of picking up, like, the round flow. Like, you know, the positioning the units, then doing the shooting, then doing the charging, and, like, all right, I'm doing this roll, and then I know that, okay, I'm going to be doing another roll because we're checking for the wounds, and then you're going to be doing a roll to defend. Like, I'm already kind of picking up on that, like, flow of how the turns go.
Yes, and that's the big thing with 10th edition. 10th edition has been very divisive because a lot of people love the nuance and complexity that 40K does bring in many instances, right? Mm-hmm. You know, because there's interactions, there's many ways to, you know, shift and strategize, right? Because by adding more abilities to strategize, while it makes the game more complicated, it allows you moments to maybe shift and change and do better. But 10th edition is very good, in my opinion, for bringing in the new fan, the new player. It's very new player friendly because a lot of things got hyper simplified. And so, like, everything is kind of centered around, like, abilities on the data sheets and all that, which is nice. I like that everything is kind of just like, hey, is this ability on your data sheet? Yes, no, cool, all right. You know, instead of worrying about, like, do we need to do, because they had an extra phase called the psychic phase, which for the most part, neither of our armies had a whole lot to do with in this demo game.
Because we don't have a ton of psychers or anything.
Well, in this Tau, you have pretty much none.
Yeah.
But but yeah, like, so it didn't add a whole lot of complexity, but it was just like a thing, and they could have done the psychic thing better, and they could have made it really good, but they fumbled the bag a little bit on it. Mostly, especially as it pertains to Grey Knights. Thousand Sorcerers got the best version of... Thousand Sorcerers got the best version of Psychic. We've talked about that, though. Yeah. But, yes. So, you know, I don't know how much objective control and, like, these mission bonus stuff were, like, super different. From when I was watching battle reports, they were kind of there, you know? And we missed one really important thing I forgot the whole time, which is secondary objectives. So I'll just describe them now.
So it's different from the the mission
Yes.
rules.
So these would be ways to get extra points, which is why I was wondering about some things. And it was because I was forgetting these. So you'll get this deck. And so we'll draw a card. We'll say, because you were a defender. So this was your deck. So we draw 2. And you would get, so this is engage in all fronts. At the end of your turn, if you have 1 or more qualifying units from your army wholly within 3 or more different table quarters, and so I pretty much any of the edges, those units are all more than 3 inches away from any other table quarter, so they're not just bunched up all into one corner. You get 4 extra victory points. Or you get 3 or you get 2 if they're in 3 different quarters. If they were in all 4, you get the 4 points. Yeah, there's just other stuff. Otherwise, you had extend battle lines at the end of your turn if you control 1 or more objective markers in your own deployment zone, and you also control 1 or more objective markers in no man's land, you get an extra 5 points. And these, I believe, these can be achieved. Well, technically, yeah, they'd be achieved the next turn. So I was gonna say, I don't think there's one you can do even on the first turn either. I don't think they've set them up that way. Okay. But yeah, like similar, these can be achieved the second that you essentially like the next, whatever next command phase you can get through them on, or sorry, the end of your turn. Sorry, these are achieved. These can be achieved on your first turn, but it's at the end. Sorry, that was the part that I was fumbling in my brain. Okay. So for example, here, right, you had brought this devilfish, say, over here to this corner. You had these guys down here. Yeah. And then you had these guys over here.
Yeah.
You would have scored this objective immediately. Otherwise, just from the way we even did it, you would have got extend battle lines right away. And so that would go into, your discard pile. So we'll bring ourselves down here a bit. Because this is how we'll use it when we do this later. Please. So say we did it the normal way. You wouldn't have gotten this one, but you would have gotten this one, which would have given you an extra 5 points. So at the end of your turn, this always kind of comes into a funky place. Where it is now, I can't remember. But essentially, you can kind of choose, all right, I'm going to discard this for a command point. Just be like, I'm going to pitch this. Mm-hmm. Or you can keep it and try to get it next turn, which honestly in this scenario would be pretty doable. Then you wait. Then when it's the start of your next turn, you would draw, flip it over, be like, all right. So this one would be your opponent must select an objective marker, and if you control that one, you get 5 victory points. Now say I had played this slightly smarter and all that. So maybe I had a bunch of units prepped up and they were in, they were in here or whatever, and they were in a pretty good cover. Mm-hmm. So I could bait you to try to do something with this, but then that might leave this open, for something else. That would also obviously depend on my own objectives, but that's kind of how this would go through. And then at the end of the turn, you'd score your secondaries and you'd continue forward. I totally forgot about that part. It's not a huge deal because, again, it's just an extra way to get points and strategize. But the main thing was, honestly, I was really focused on getting you just to understand this main objective point.
Sure. Yeah.
That was my broadest concern. Mm-hmm. Just knowing that objectives are inherently what matter, because again, you could wipe out a bunch of my team, but if you do that and that what happens and you lose a bunch of units, well, that's game over, You can't do anything else. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the one thing to definitely keep in mind. Also, this terrain was not very well built at all for this setup. You would hate this. Would be awful. Having completely blocking terrain at your home deployment objective would be terrible. because you can't sit here and then really shoot effectively. You have to get out in the open. So it would have been bad, but that wasn't necessarily how this was working. So, here we are. But that's it. That's at least the basics of the game. You can obviously come back and reference this before we do our stream of this game where we play against each other.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll do for now. Our next episode when we do one will be back to normal. I'm gonna prep up a lore episode at some point, but keep an eye out on our YouTube page for when we will be doing that live stream. I'll make a post about it, and then you can see it then. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening and watching this game. This one was definitely a watch one.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Honestly, probably won't even be an audio version of this episode. That's just how it'll be. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. We'll see you next time, whatever that may be. But for now, see you then.
Goodbye.